I want to talk about something that is kind of interesting and not completely researched yet, but it's a curious concept that definitely deserves its own video, and that is body fat set point theory. Now, this isn't quite as bad as it sounds, but the way the theory reads, it can be taken as a glass is half empty or a glass is half full kind of scenario. I'm a glass is half full kind of guy, so I'm going to explain to you how that works. Essentially, the conceit of the theory is that your adiposity, similar to various other metrics, for instance, your pH, your blood glucose, pick anything that you can establish a given reference range for, has a nominal mean value and established left and right limits for you. Let's say you live life by the averages. So you maintain good health. You don't really do extra exercise, but you're not completely sedentary. You don't overeat. You don't undereat. You just have what you need to sustain life. Your body fat will be X value. And then if you eat in a surplus for X amount of time, you will top off at a higher body fat of Y. And if you're in a deficit for, X amount of time, you will bottom out at a body fat of Z. So let's call it something like, you walk around day to day at about 17. Your body won't let you get any fatter than 30, and it won't let you get any leaner than like 10. Moreover, the theory contends that, like many other feedback loops in the body, when you pull a certain lever, whether you're overfed or underfed, there is feedback that results in you returning to your kind of mean set point state. Now, again, this is a theory. It's a reasonably sound one, however, because just about everything else in the body tends to work this way. So what does that mean for us? And what did I mean when I said it's a glass half empty or a glass is half full kind of scenario? Well, this conversation can quickly turn from a scientific one into one of agency, into an accountability issue. Well, if my body fat has a given set point or a given reference range, let's say hypothetically that mine is just high. There's nothing I can do about it, right? On the surface, that's what this theory would seem to indicate, but that's not really what it's saying. That's the glass is half empty viewpoint. I'll use myself as an example. My first, call it 15, 20 years in life, my set point was very high. I mean, if I did nothing, didn't exercise, just kind of ate normally and did nothing, I'd be 20 something percent, maybe top out at 35 and bottom out at 16, 17. And I tried early on to defeat this with my very minimal understanding at the time of diet and exercise. What I came to understand, at least anecdotally, and this has yet to be verified in the research, but I think it will inevitably conclude this way, is that like any other quality, speed, strength, whatever it is, the further away you get from average, it becomes asymptotically more difficult to continue to push the needle in that direction. So what do I mean? Take strength, for instance, right? There's probably millions of people that can bench 2 plates. And actually probably millions, but not as many that can bench 3. And then many thousands probably that can bench 4. And then maybe a couple thousand that can bench 5. And then maybe hundreds that can bench 6. Tens that can bench 7. And then you can count on one hand the amount of people that are close to benching 800 pounds. The further you push a thing away from the average, the more it becomes the realm of the genetically elite, and even they have to do a lot of extra things to continue to push the needle. What I discovered in my experience, is that you can change your body fat set point, because I very clearly have changed mine in the past 28 years. But like I mentioned in my video on signals, you have to push the needle very hard and keep pushing it for a meaningful period of time so that the body gets accustomed to that as the new normal. And the further from what your old normal was that is, the longer it's going to take to kind of bake in. When I got out of the service and just allowed myself to succumb to my host of service-related injuries and didn't really train for about a year and a half and just ate whatever, I wasn't even at baseline calories, I was definitely eating in a surplus. I definitely got fatter and gained weight, but I never got anywhere near as fat as I was, 28 years ago when I first started training. At one point early in high school, I topped the scales at 253 pounds. I think the heaviest I got after almost a year and a half of just not training and eating junk food was not even 200. I think it's safe to say at this point, with my training history, with such a robust duration of signal to be this size and this fitness level, while I certainly can lose a great deal of fitness if I quit training, I don't think any amount of calorie surplus is ever going to push me into the 250 pound range again. I just don't think it is. Or if it does, it'll take years of doing the wrong thing to undo all this work that I've done. So is the glass half empty or is it half full? I say it's half full because I don't think that this theory is telling us anything that we don't already know. Some people are born with a silver spoon in their mouths, and some of us have to struggle. Some people are perpetually thin and want to gain muscle. Other people gain muscle easier, but they're, always a little chubby. And it doesn't mean that we can't change the way we are. It just means that, like I keep saying, biology is action over time and robustness of signals. And if we want to change what our body interprets as normal for these homeostatic regulatory mechanisms, we have to establish sustainable habits that continue to blast these mechanisms with the correct signal loud enough and for long enough that it becomes the new normal. You can make it happen, folks. I'm living proof. So stay in the fight.